So this is the steps of research we'll be following. So after the proper review of literature only, we have to go for the objective confirmation and hypothesis formulation. And then only you have to go for a data collection. So in terms of data collection, we know the questionnaire formation is a very important thing. But before questionnaire formation, the pilot study is important. Before the pilot study, review of literature is important. But many people may go in reverse. They will start with writing the thesis and they will consider the review of literature as the last part, but it's not so. So the first main thing is review of literature. Okay, so then only we'll go for a collecting of the questionnaire, data processing, data analysis, research report preparation, etc. Okay, so which chapter of the thesis or which part of the research article reviews are applied? So normally we feel that there will be a separate chapter, maybe introduction chapter, then after the review of the literature come before the research methodology. That's our understanding. But in terms of a proper thesis or a proper article, review of literature will come in all the chapters. In the introduction, why you are choosing the topic, you should have some review. Why you chosen the topic. For the statement of the problem, you should have a review. For data collection, why you are using the analysis, that should be a review. And when you are giving a finding, suggestion, conclusion, that should be a review. This author said like this, I am also saying like this. This author said like this, but I am not accepting, I am saying in a different way. And if you are suggesting for the future scope of research, also the review of literature is important. So review of literature comes in all the chapters, even you have a separate chapter for this. So you can see the words are similar. Okay, so below, see, observe, view, notice, watch, perceive. This looks to be same. The same way, decide, review, criticize, analyze, evaluate. These things we can see in the Bloom's taxonomy. These words we'll be using normally writing the article. So these are all words are similar in functions, or you say sometimes, but it differs with the place-to-place situation where it is. And it differs with the people who is reading the article and differs with the purpose of usage of these words. So the review of literature will help you to find out the right word to write the thesis or the article. So that's why in choosing an article, and we may say that, sir, if you're taking from the review of literature, there's a more chance of plagiarism will come. So you have to review the literature, not copy the literature. We have to review it, we have to understand it, we have to write on our own. It's not just a copy pasting from the other resources. And when we say review of literature or literature review, it's just a word from the review or from the article or from the thesis. This is our assumption. We have to fill some pages. And otherwise, we will say, somebody will suggest, when you want to get a content for the review of literature, read the abstract or read the conclusion. You will choose any 2 paragraphs or 2 lines just to make it as a review of literature. That's also not the right way in writing a research article. So for writing a 2 lines, you have to read the entire article. You have to think from the author perspective and you have to think from your research topic perspective. Then only you have to write, then only the plagiarism will be avoided. And it's not just describing or just re-saying what they said. And in terms of review of literature, when I say read the review and write on your own words, not your own understanding. So if the same article read by me, read by you, read by others, it may give a difference of opinion if you're reading only 2 or 3 lines. But if you read the entire article, then only you come to know that what author want to say in that perspective in the population. So your self-opinion or self-justification or your assumption. So normally we make the hypothesis based on our assumption. That assumption should not be made when we are preparing the review of literature. Okay, so when we say theoretically, it is a documentation of the comprehensive review, which is published, or it can be unpublished. Something can be a document which can be collected fresh that may not be available in the open sources or any other secondary sources. And main objective of the research review of literature is we have to find out what problem I have to focus on. Problem, it can be called as an objective also, which can be already investigated and stated in some other area or some other country or some other situation. For example, one person did a consumer survey or customer satisfaction survey with respect to organic products in Gujarat. I want to do the same study in Karnataka. So I have to understand the author's review, opinion, and his conclusion. and I want to test whether the same conclusion will apply in Karnataka. This is not a copying. I just reviewed how he did, and I'm going to test how it will be applied in Karnataka. And in terms of suggesting the researchers for the future research, review of literature is important. So when we say review of literature, there can be different stages of review of literature. First thing, we have to formulate or fix up the topic, what we want to focus. Yes, somebody is okay. Yes. So which topic or a field to be focused, that might be set by the guide, or it might be identified view, or it might be an interested area. And my suggestion is, don't decide the topic based on your self-interest. That should be a reason to justify at the Viva, or if you're writing an article, whether it is suitable in this today's situation. And next one, after fixing the topic, we have to find out the literature search, where I have to find out the material relevant to the subject. There are different sources. So for doing a thesis, you have to download at least 1,000 articles. Out of the 1,000 articles, you have to read, and you have to come up with 100 articles. Out of 100 articles, you can able to write. But many people will select 200 articles, they will write copy paste from this, and they will finish up the research. That is not the right way. You have to review at least 1,000 articles. From that, you have to shortlist, you have to remove unwanted things, and confirm at least the 100 articles are in the recent 5 years. So there are different types of research methodology tools for data collection. You can not up just a minute. Okay. And then we have to go for analyzing and interpreting the review of literature and analyzing. Yes. So then only we have to go for the analyzing, interpreting your data collected and analyzed. So so we may be learning about SPSS, how it has to be analyzed, and how we have to write the conclusion, etc. But at the time of writing your findings and interpretation conclusion also, you have to take up the review of literature, and you have to compare your result with the researcher's report which done earlier. So in terms of conclusion, in terms of findings also, review of literature is important. So why we are doing review of literature? First, when we are going to do a research, we have to justify why I am focusing and what is the background of choosing this topic. And if I am identifying some variables or a relationship between the concept, means how it can be done. Whenever I'm making hypothesis, why I'm choosing the hypothesis, that's the assumption. And when I'm choosing a particular methodology, I have to depend on the review of literature, research design. And whenever you are going for a data collection, this data collection using this method also should be justified by review of literature. And why do we need this? Another thing is, your thesis or article is not made for you. It is for the entire world, who may be from any country, maybe from any language, maybe from different discipline. But when they read your thesis or when they read the article, they should be able to understand everything. So even the person is new, they should have the idea what you are going to say. So to introduce the topic to the reader, to explain what is happening in the current statistics, you have to add, and we have to find out the research framework, what you have to, and we have to find out what are the keyword. Why the keyword is important? We may be using a word called variable, items, etc. And scaling. For this also, we need a review of literature. And the very important thing in the question in terms of article writing and thesis writing is, what is your research gap? How you identify. So we cannot say I identified the research gap using a pilot study. So before the pilot study, I said before the objective setting, before the topic setting itself, you should be able to find out the research gap. So you might be seeing some news from the newspaper or any other thing that you might be interested, but you have to go through the reviews to find out, yes, this is a real problem to be addressed. So for justifying your research gap in the research methodology, review of literature only helps you. So that is also another reason. So in terms of review of literature, we have to categorize, we have to evaluate, and we have to write a purpose and objective of it. So what is required? So first we have to find out what are the various sources of data available and from where I can get, and how to frame the questions. After framing the question, I have to find out the keywords to be searched from the review of literature or from the previous report. And as I said, from the 1,000 articles, you shortlist 100 articles relevant to your study. How you conform with the 100 articles? Based on your reading, you have to come up with at least 100 words. These words will be discussed as a variable or something else. For the variables, you are finding out some relevant articles. If it is 100 articles, means you have to read the article. Even one article, read the article again and again and again, and write on your own. And you have to reduce the plagiarism also. So normally people will say plagiarism, etc. Don't worry about the plagiarism now. Just write on your own, complete all the work, and again we can check the plagiarism and we can rework on it. So if you start thinking about the grammar mistake and the plagiarism the first stage, you will be in a trouble. So you can't proceed with the chapter. So please forget about it. What's your understanding from each article? Just to write 2 or 3 lines and just to proceed based on your keywords identified. So you should know for these keywords, at least I should have 10 reviews. You have to fix. If you're going for 300 reviews, means the 300 references should justify at least 50 variables that you have to mention it and you have to work on it. Otherwise, you go on, download many data, you don't know what to read. Yes. So the next one is you have to find out the right journals and right websites, which is most cited. So normally you'll go to Google, Google gives many things. But nowadays, in terms of research article, they are looking for not only the recent article, which article is cited more, which article is referred by many people, that is considered as a very good article to refer. So we have to check with the proper source and whether it is a cited. You can use a Google Scholar or ResearchGate to find out, because every researcher will updating the research, so we'll know when they did. And based on that, we have to focus on justifying our objectives, and then we have to plan our bibliography, and you should know how you have to refer for justifying your topic. So for review of literature, please focus on your title. For the title, you have to frame 100 words or 200 words abstract. If it's a research article or thesis, means you have to write 1-page abstract. And you should have a conclusion for it. And for the research methodology, you should know what are the sampling to be used, what the sample size to be used, for that you have to write. And finding suggestion, you have to check for justifying your finding suggestion in the based on the statistical research or analysis, what are the review of literature required. And for some sources like Manly, EndNote, Zotero, Rough and Write, these are the tools which will help you to simplify the writing review of literature. They won't help you to get the right article. Getting a right article, you have to go to the ResearchGate or the proper website or LCV or Emerald, like that. You have to go to the source. But after finalizing the article, how it can be written, these softwares may help you in writing references. Yes. So as I said, when you are selecting one article, please check whether the research core, if there some article may have a research core, and whether it is a recent publication in the specific area, and whether it is have a citation in text, or whether it is published in a impact factor, having a peer reviewed journals, or otherwise it can be from the experts or government database, which is having a genuinity in justifying your research. Okay, so keep keywords in mind. So as I said, if you have a 50 keywords, mean whenever you are reading article, focus on the keywords. Try to search the keywords and try to understand how the author is saying about the keyword. And for example, I said 10 articles for one keyword. Okay, so for example, customer satisfaction. For the customer satisfaction, you are identified 10 different articles in 10 different years from 10 different authors. You try to make a tabular column, try to compare how the authors perceived or interpreted the same topic or the same keyword in their manner. Then try to have your own understanding for your population or in your area. And then obviously you have to discuss with the scholars or guide or the panel members if you have, and you have to finalize. So we will say that there are 2 different types of review of literature writing method. One is catalog method. Mostly we'll use this. You just read and we will describe it and put author name bracket here, and we'll start at key stated like that. So here what is mentioned actually is what author found in that article, and he will write his own understanding from the summary. Another one is dialogue method. It is interpreting, critical analysis, ask, answering why, and explain why. So this means that you are going in depth. Actually, you are speaking to the article. Why author said like this? So you will have thousands of questions, and you will understand the article, and you will be writing a review of literature. So just reading, understanding, and writing as a summary is catalog method. If you're interpreting each and every article, analyze, and if you're writing is this a dialogue method. It's based on your expectation you have to change. So you collected review of literature, but how I have to organize? So there are different types, and again it depends upon the research journals. They will have a specification in chronological order how to write. It depends upon the university. They will mention this way how to write. So some people, in terms of reference, I am saying, some people will say, please write the current year first and the previous year next. We call it as a chronological, reverse chronological order. Or otherwise, you can start with the author's alphabetical name. Or some people will say, for example, you are decided with the 50 topics. Mean first topic, customer satisfaction, reason for customer satisfaction. So you are dividing with the different topics. For different topics, just to try to write the relevant things. Or otherwise, you have your own headings and subheadings. Make the headings further try to fit with research articles and your understanding. And it depends upon whether you are quantitative, qualitative, or observational. So while you are writing a review of literature, have any one standard. So at the time of thesis analysis or the review of the research article review, they may check. So mostly the journals will give their prescription how to write, or otherwise you have to say this way you use this. So you should have a proper format. First 10 page in different format, another 10 page in different format is not accepted. Okay, please find out this. Then when we are writing a review of literature, yes, that should be introduction and the variable discussion. The review of literature, so we can make it a dependent variable, independent variable, mediating variable, moderating variable, theory, and what are the contradictory or supporting views, and with a proper reference. Yes. So now I will just show. I will show the picture. So from where you can collect. So Shodh Ganga, it is a free website given by the Indian government. So you can browse all the PhD with the first chapter to last chapter, including the references. You can review it. So maybe before 10 years, it was said that the researchers or the PhD scholars will not reveal even the title. Will not reveal even the title because it can be copied by others and it can come to us a plagiarism. That was very, very long days. Now it is, if you are submitting the thesis today, maybe within 2 or 3 days, we have to update in the Shodh Ganga. So most of the universities are suggesting. So the researcher, new researcher, have the freedom to access all the people work. The same way article also working. So when you are publishing, it has become an open document. So whenever you're using this, you have to give the citation or reference of the authors who said. So Shodh Ganga, you can download a recent thesis submitted. You can read the entire PhD thesis. Don't copy from the thesis, but understand their perspective. And another one is ssrn.com, which will give a lot of articles related to, so you can select whatever the subjects you are looking for. And yes, if you are don't know what journal you have to focus. Sorry, if you are searching through the Google Scholar, it has its own ranking. It based on their citation or based on the author who is using regularly or based on the search engine optimization, it may give some references. But if you go to journal finder in elsevier.com, or you can go to the Emerald, or you can go to the Web of Science, they will tell. So if you're typing as a customer satisfaction, employee satisfaction, means they will suggest these are the reputed journals. So from that, you can start downloading your articles. The same way, the Scopus is also another website which is ranking and listing the articles. So you can go there. So reputed articles, you can see from the Scopus source also. And for the Web of Science, it is called as clarivate.com. So sometimes it's a Bublons. They will give the rating for the article also. Based on the citation, you can select. So here the filtration is also there. You can select based on the subject, based on the author, based on the year, based on the citation. So you have to decide how you want to be. And ResearchGate, as we know, that it's a normal thing. So why we have to go to the ResearchGate is whenever people are doing some research work, immediately they are updating. and you can, it's like a social media, you can join with them, you can follow them, you can discuss as a group. So for example, you find four authors written the same similar topic, means you all can collaborate and you can work. There's a advantage of researchgate. And there is proquest.com. So most of the universities might paid for getting this resources. It will be available in the library. Christianity College is having this resources. Otherwise, jstar.org. This is also the journal. So from this also we can search. And Taylor and Francis is the most reputed journal. So here also you can get your. So you should know for what type of the subject and what type of topic I should choose which type of journals. That is important. And you have some softwares like Manly. So again, I'm saying Manly is a reference manager. So you should find out the right article. You should have a proper reference. If it is integrated to the Manly, whenever you are writing or reviewing your research work, this will be helpful. So manly.com will help you in writing and referencing. And you can use Grammarly for writing a review. There is a free version is available. Maybe it will help to some extent, but if you want to write a proper thing, means you can pay approximately, it may come around 10,000 rupees for the limited period of time. So rather than outsourcing your work, so you can use these softwares, manly.com and Grammarly, which will reduce a lot of burdens, because the Grammarly paid version will give suggestion with respect to the plagiarism reduction also. That's why I told don't worry about writing without plagiarism, writing without grammar mistake. It's a very old days. You used to write the thesis and we will depend on the English professor to correct everything. We have to take a thousands of printout again. They will give again. We have to go. These are very olden days. Now we have a lot of softwares. We ourselves can use the softwares or the application to reduce the errors and reduce the plagiarism. So main thing is, if you are genuine in reading, understanding, and writing, most of the problem will go. It's the Google Scholar, it is a very generalized thing we are using. So here, whenever you are using the Google Scholar, yes, it will come year wise. You can download, you can use. So one important thing is here you can see the citation. So you can see the first article is 468 and second article is 66. Whenever you are searching, so please try to find out the most cited article. So one thing you will go by. So here also the option is the citation and year. So go for the last 5 years or 10 years and go for citation selection. So this will be come like this, and you can select whichever is preferred for you. So if you go to that, it will come like this. Okay, so in terms of writing, if we get time, I will explain it. Otherwise, you can check in the Word itself. Okay, so if you go to the Word, MS Office Word, there's option is available how I can write the references. Because one of the problem in writing a research article and review of literature is how I can write the references. So whether we have to follow the same way, comma, full stop, bracket. So we can use these citations. For example, if you click this, the second symbol, if you click this, the citation will exactly come. And if you use the references, if you select the APA format or whatever the format you are looking, and if you insert the endnote or a footnote, okay, these are setups. It will come like this. Okay, so if you follow this, so you have to go to the reference and you have to select which format you are going to add, and you have to insert endnote. So in the endnote, that the copy pasting option will be available. So you have to click the second symbol and you will get the citation in the APA format. You have to copy paste it, and when you are writing like this, it will come. So what you have to do is, so the first word will come. So author's first name will come. So with the more authors, mean we can add as et al. So authors and authors. Okay, that's the meaning. And this is your writing. So stated that. So this will reduce your burden in terms of writing the reference, how to write the reference or a bibliography. So you can concentrate on your own writing. Okay. So Manly also will help in this perspective. EndNote also will help in this thing. So there are a lot of software available. So whichever is easy for you can choose. But even the 360 Office, okay, MS Office 360 Office will help you more in this thing with a cheaper cost. Okay, so there are other softwares and websites I listed here. Okay, so some softwares are free for a certain period of time. If you are smart enough, you can use the free version itself. Okay, so let me rush towards the next topic. So measurement. So here we have to come to the quantitative things. So after the review of literature, we decided the topic, assume that you decided the objective, assume that you decided the hypothesis. So next one is you have to make a questionnaire. So model development or a questionnaire development. So first thing we have to measure, what to measure. Okay, so when we are collecting the data, we have to measure. Okay, so types of variable. Normally we used to call as a different types of variable: categorical variable and numerical variable. When we take a questionnaire, okay, so where you are able to just categorize. For example, gender, we can only count. Okay, so this many male, this much female. And when you are having a question, so what are the reasons for buying jewelry? There may be 1, 2, 3, 4 reasons. So here also I'm just categorizing. Okay, all the other options cannot be ranked in other way. So they are called as categorical variable. If you are using in a point scale, 3-point scale or a 5-point scale or a 7-point scale or 9-point scale, we can call it as a scaled variable. Okay, categorical scale or otherwise scaled variable. So whenever you are framing a questionnaire, please ensure you are having two things. Most probably our first page. First page of the questionnaire may be the personal profile, your age, location, gender, occupation. These things mostly as a categorical variable it will come. But when we discuss as a statistic, they use these different words. Okay, nominal scale, ordinal scale, discrete, continuous. These are the different words they will be using. So for nominal scale means whenever you are using an option that can be only counted. Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4 counted. It's a nominal. Okay. If you're writing the city name, it's a nominal. How many cities they listed? Ordinal means if you are able to rank the option. This is the first option. This is the second option. If you're able to rank it, then it becomes a ordinal. The third one is interval. So this comes between this and this, 0 to 10. Okay, it will come as a interval scale. Ratio means mostly it will come under open error question. For example, temperature. Okay, the height. They'll be using a continuous. It's not as a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They will use a 1.5, 1. So it is a ratio scale. It is a comparison from the standard and the actual. So normally statistical things, they will use these words: nominal, ordinal, interval, ratio. Okay, but in terms of using a SPSS, okay, we can use ordinal scale and scaled variable. These are two things we'll use that we'll see later. Okay. So why am I mentioning these things means in terms of writing your article, you have to mention what type of scale you used. For example, in terms of writing an article, you can have a paired comparison scale. So here I'm saying you are giving a one brand, you are giving second brand. So they may mention which brand. So here the answer is not on his own perception. He will compare with another brand with his preferred brand. So it is a comparative study. It's a paired comparison scale. And another one is rank order scale. So you may be listing many options. You may ask them to put 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There is a lot of option. All you prefer only. Okay. There is no chance of not preferring. But with respect to preference, you want to rank which you prefer most. Means you may ask them to put in a rank 1 to 5. And constant sum scale. So for example, gold mean how much money you are investing. Here it is fixed. Okay. Constant sum scale. They will be mentioning. So from this we will find out. Okay, in which they are invested. So for example, here the land they invested more. So this thing we ask them to rank directly based on their preference. Here we are making them to make a constant values. Mostly the rupees or other numerical things will be mentioned. So why I'm saying this, you should know how to use the option. Okay, how to decide with the option. Again, you have to go for the review of literature of the previous thesis or articles. And another thing is called as continuous rating scale. So here we can start from a 0 to 10 or 0 to 5, etc. So there is a two bipolar ends, maybe strongly or agree or strongly disagree, or highly satisfied or highly dissatisfied. Likewise, you can have a bipolar scale and you can ask them to rank, because the people cannot exactly say I like or don't like. So I don't know also option. So that will come in the center. Some people say I like, another person also saying I like, another person is also say I like. But the liking between these three people may differ. So whenever there is a quantitative things added with the qualitative perception, means it is suggested use continuous rating scale. And semantics, you are explaining without the numerical, you are explaining a two ends. For example, dirty, clean, well light, dark, high quality, low quality. In between what you are measuring, you can make that. So it's a semantic differential. Here mentioning the two opposite meanings. Okay, then you ask them to rank based on the numbers given. And there is another thing is called a staple scale or bipolar scale. Here we given negative. So they are going in the opposite way. It will be -1, -2, -3. So it's not just a liking and disliking. How much you dislike or how much you like, or how much is neutral. So you can use staple scale. It is a bipolar. And we are using another important things, words in terms of article writing. Moderator and mediator variables. Okay, these are the two words. And basically we use the two variables called as independent variable and dependent variable. So dependent variable is a variable which changes according to the changes in the independent variable. For example, if I say income and savings, so my savings will change according to my income. Income will not change according to your savings. So income is a fixed variable. So we say that it is independent. It is not dependent on other factors. So based on the income, the savings is dependent. Based on the incentive, the performance. Based on the discount, sales. So which is having an impact or impacted by the another variable is called as dependent variable, which is actually causing the effort or result is called as independent variable. That we should know. And another two things is called as a moderating variable and mediating variable. So for example, you identified your dependent variable as a job satisfaction. Through a review of literature or factor analysis, you identified there are 5 different variables, main variables or major factors: performance pressure, role ambiguity, homework interface, workload pressure, relationship with others. So all these 5 factors have impact on job satisfaction. So these 5 independent variables have the impact on job satisfaction. But we are adding one mediating variable. So mediating variable means these independent variable have some effect on the job satisfaction. So how this mediating variable enhance the effect? For example, performance pressure, role ambiguity, homework interface, workload pressure will decrease job satisfaction. So how this job stress enhance means what? It is increasing the negativity, because all these are negative words. So how it is increasing the negative, that's called as job satisfaction. Okay, so how it enhance the effect is done by the mediating variable. Okay, here we can have the another option. So there are some stress factors. This is an independent variable and dependent variable. So because of that, what happened is absenteeism may come, poor work relation may come, reduced productivity, low morale, etc. These are the effect, and effect. This is also a negative factor. So what he says that stress level, whether these negative independent variable have increasing the negative performance. So here is a negative in performance. It's a reverse performance. So this is called as enhancing the effect of independent. That is called as mediating variable. So here I am adding 2 other things. That's the gender. Okay. With respect to the stress, okay, man also having a stress, women also having a stress. If there is a man means, so what we said in a mediating variable, we use a word called effort is enhanced, how it is enhanced. But here we have to find out whether this variable will suppress the result. Yes, because of the job stress, they are getting some negative performance. If it is a man, for example, normally we will say that the stress will be easily handled by women. So the women may not be impacted. So the negative factor is not affecting with respect to the women. But if the men means, yes, if men means it will increase more dissatisfaction or it will decrease more performance. So this is called as moderating variable. So we have to understand it. If it is a mediating variable means they will enhance your result. It may be a negative or positive. There will be some result that will be enhanced by an intermediating variable. And moderating variable means the moderating variable will suppress your result happen because of the independent variable. So how you can identify it may be a confusing topic, etc. I mean, again, I will say you have to review the review of literature. It is not as to decide which can be added, which cannot be added. Whether it can come only here, whether it can be here. Moderating variable, why men is here, the gender can be here, it can be. But again, I'm saying it should be justified with proper review of literature. So we have to understand in terms of writing a research or a thesis, 2 important variable, independent variable and dependent variable. You should identify which are all the dependent variable, independent variable. And if you are going for model development, okay, maybe for regression or maybe for STEM means, you have to So Vinod sir, kindly mute. Okay. So you have to know that in terms of SEM model or regression model, which can be a mediating variable, which can be monitoring variable. Because the SPSS, Excel, all other thing, whatever you put, it will give some answer. So you should have our common understanding to decide which variable should come where. Yes. And another thing, we call it as a validity test, test of validity. We collected the data, maybe from the pilot study. Before you go for the actual analysis, we should go for validity test. Okay. Yes. So later I will show if possible in the SPSS. Okay. So you collected the data. After the collecting the data, if it is the SPSS, if you go for analysis and if you go for scale, and there is a reliability test, you have to select the variables which you want to test. Mostly in terms of reliability and validity, whichever you are having a scaled variable, 5-point scale or 7-point scale, 9%, that variable only you have to select. There is no need to select the basic personal variables. Okay, so gender, that is not. So if it is scaled variable, you select all these things. Then if it is a cron alpha is more than 0.8, it's a highly reliable. 0.6 is accepted. Okay, so I'm just showing example. Okay, so these are my construct. So trade promotion objective is one heading. Under the heading, I have 14 questions. I want to show what is your trade promotion, how this trade promotion impact on the sales, how the trade promotion will help the sales. Likewise, there might be 14 questions. So this trade promotion objective heading is called as a construct. Under the construct, I may have 14 items. Likewise, I have 11 headings that I called as 11 construct, and each one have different items. So what I said in terms of questionnaire formation, these keywords should be identified from the review of literature. Why we are selecting this and what type of question can be asked as an item also decided by you. Whether it should be in a 3-point scale or a 5-point scale or a 7-point scale, again, it will be decided by the review of literature. So even we can go for our own understanding, pilot study we can do, and later fact analysis we do, and we will just justify based on our validity, etc. But always justifying through reviews is suggested. Okay, so here you can see the most of the data are more than 0.6, so we can confirm that I can proceed with the data. The same way, normality means you are selecting the same data. Again, in the SPSS, we will go for analyze, descriptive statistics in the explore. This is an option. If you select that, then it will, there are the two important things will come, skewness and kurtosis. Okay, so it will say that your value is between minus 1.5 to plus 1.5 means, yes, we can say that it is normally distributed. What is mean by normality? So what is the difference between normality and reliability? Means reliability is you selected some population, okay, and this data is reliable. Even you are taking for 1 lakh people or 50 people, this questionnaire and data is reliable. You can proceed with the data collection. So your data is reliable and questionnaire is okay. In terms of normality, it comes after the data collection. Okay, so for example, if you collected 100 people, out of the 100 people, 95 people are male and only 5 people are female. So here it is biased. Okay, so the maximum you take only from male and very less from the female. When you want to analyze some question based on the gender mean, it has become invalid. And the same way, if you are taking a survey based on the satisfaction means, most of the people, okay, maybe 90% of the people express the satisfaction. Normally you have a 5-point scale, right? Whenever you give to the people, they always try to take in 5, 5, 5, 5, 5, 5. Or the way they will put in 1, 1, 1, 1, or they will put in 3, 3, 3, 3. But what the statistics says, your data should have normally distributed. So you should have some in 5, some in 4, some in 3, some in 1, some in 2. Because all your sample will not think in the same way. If all the samples are thinking in the same way means your sample selection is wrong. So to test that, we are going for a test of normality. It should show it's equally. So it can be 1 or 2 or 3. That's not a matter. But you should confirm that all the scales are filled by at least few people. So this test will be done by the normality. So here the table comes like this. I'm choosing the same 11 construct, number of respondents is 500. Here I can see. So here also I can identify this in within my limit. If something is not within the limit, 1 or 2 is not within the limit, means I have to remove the construct and questions. I should not include in my analysis, or otherwise, if the most of the things are not in a expected value means again, either I should change the way of question because the people are understanding in the wrong way, or I have to select a different population who may give the right opinion. Yes, how I'll decide this? Yes, you will go for a pilot study maybe with the 50 or 100. From that only we'll identify if there is any error with the question or any error with the sample, then only you should collect further data from entire population. Yes. So in terms of questionnaire formation, so we should list down what is the information required, and we should find out what type of interview method you are going to select. So interview method, it can be a direct interview method, it can be a phone interview, and sometimes we will circulate the Google Forms nowadays. So most of the people are doing in the Google Form. So based on the way you are going to collect and based on the people you are going to collect, you have to change your language, you have to change your style, and determine the content of individual questions based on your review of literature or with the discussion with the guide, and design the question to overcome respondents' inability and unwillingness to answer. This is very, very important. So we might be making a very good questionnaire based on the review of literature that you may be able to understand easily, and for coding the data, it may be very useful. So mostly for the students, you will suggest, so don't make many questions, make a tabular column. For example, if they want to study the customer satisfaction variable means, kindly rate your employee satisfaction level based on the following factors. Then they will list down the factors, okay, their salary, or maybe a leave policy, or maybe welfare, and the right set rating. So it is very easy to make and very easy in terms of coding. But if you are giving the same thing to the people who know very little about the topic, or they have a challenge in understanding the English language means, they can't answer. What will happen? As you give, they will just tick something and they will do. So always think from the respondent perspective. And sometimes the respondents are not actually filling your data. So who will be getting the data will be intermediary. You might be having a research scholar or a student, or sometimes it will be outsourced to collect the data, will be given to the consultancy in terms of company research means. You have to understand how these people will explain to the actual respondent. So first, the question should be understandable by the people who are doing the interview. If you are giving directly to the people, you should know that when they are reading, how they will understand about the question. So if you want, so for example, if you want me to make a question, for that everybody have to answer one means, I will change how the question has to be. So that is actually a bias that should not be done. And then we have to decide on the question structure, how it should be. Okay, what should come first, what should come next, and the wordings, and which should be first. Some questions will straight away ask, what's your name, what's your mobile number, what's your age, what's your income. By reading the four things, they may not be interested. So they might have some fear. So some people ask a general question, which is not so sensitive. And then after 2 to 3 minutes, when they are reading, they get the confidence, they will try to answer the critical questions. And last will be personal profile. Some people will prefer personal profile as a first. It depends upon, again, it depends upon you and your target audience. And identify the form and layout. Yes, there are different types of layout and different types of asking question. You have to decide. And make a questionnaire, make a pre-test, and finalize it. So there are different types of questions. You can ask a structured questionnaire, unstructured questionnaire, closed-ended. Closed-ended means you are giving option. Okay, what are the factors influencing the customer satisfaction? You listed 5 factors. So you compelled the people to say only 5. So normally during the pilot study, you should have more open-ended question. Open-ended question means there is no option. Age, dash. Please list down the factors influencing your customer satisfaction. Ask them to list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So from that 100 or 50, try to find out what are all the options mostly listed by them. You can make it as a final one. Or otherwise, you have to go for a review of literature, because review of literature, they also did lot of survey with thousands of samples. Then only they derived. But again, you should go for a pilot study. If some people are not at all tick in any one of the option means, you should remove the option. So what is suggested is your question should have at least some open-ended question. So for example, asking salary. Write your salary means many people won't answer. Write your age means many people won't answer. In this closed ended is prefer, you will give a range 20 to 30. Even I am a 20 or even I am a 29, I will tick that. Income 1 lakh to 2 lakh, 2 lakh to 4 lakh. I'm ready to tick it. But in this, if you are giving an open ended mean, I may not be able to fill it. So again, I'm telling this is not right, this is not wrong. It's based on you, your objective, and your target audience. So there is a mixed questionnaire, facts questionnaire, opinion questionnaire, pictorial questionnaire. There are different types are there. What is the normal error mostly we will do in terms of questionnaire formation? Your question should not mislead. Your question should be very easy, and question should avoid bias. So we have to find out what are the situation or what are the places a respondent may have a bias. It may be a language bias or their perceptual bias. We try to reduce it, and we have to choose the right sample. You don't ask the right question to the wrong people, and don't have a bias in data collection. Okay, today it is raining, so I will take survey nearby home. I have my more relatives in that place. I will go and take. This is the retail outlet. It is most crowded where they will answer. I will go there. Don't go for that. It is a bias. It's even it is called as a convenient sampling, but it's a bias. You go in your own convenience, and don't have a bias in data analysis method. So I know only ANOVA, I know only chi-square. I will do with that. Don't do that. And my guide is asking SEM method. My guide is asking regression method. Your all the questions are only open-ended or bipolar questions, but the guide may be looking for SEM model. It will not work out. Then you have to cook up the data. So either first to go to the guide, first to go with the university expectation. These are the tests are required. These are the minimum variables they have to implement. Then make the question or make the topic based on that. Don't try to rework. So most of the people will start like this. First year they will say minimum analysis enough. At the end of the fourth year, as other guides or other scholars are doing with the SEM model mean, they will ask SEM model, PLS model mean. The questionnaire should be there, right? You collected the questions, you framed the questionnaire, you collected the data, everything is over. Now you are going to rework mean, that will be error. So please fix up what is your decision later. Okay, and in terms of inference, there is your understanding also should be clear. Yes, these are things explained how to frame a questionnaire. Okay, so I will just show. This is one of the thesis. Okay, retailer preference of trade promotion schemes for FMCG products. How the what are the schemes the retailer is preferring for FMCG products? So for that, we have to identify some variables. So what are the keywords? Retail, retailing, promotion, trade promotion, promotion schemes, FMCG products. So entire thesis will roam around only these words. How I identified? Maybe with the panel discussion, mostly with the review of literature. So in this study, Indian study 62 and foreign study 38 is study. And the research gap is find that it's listed like this. Okay, I don't want to go elaborate in this. So based on that, a review of literature, the research gap is fine. And based on that, objective is formed. So to study the retailer evaluation of consumer characteristics, this is one keyword. Impact of trade promotion schemes and channel related evaluation, retailer perception. So these keywords has to be picked from review of literature. So these things we cannot make. Okay, there are standard words that you have to make. Then, so from this, I am just listing out store characteristics. That's a keyword. Okay, with respect to the store characteristics, again I am going to the review of literature, which is required. There are a lot of variables are there, but for the research, I decided location. Whether the location is rural or urban or semi-urban, but I define only to rural and urban. And under this, type of outlet, size of outlet, year of establishment, owner. So if I get these questions, this will explain the store characteristics. I want to know about the retailer characteristics. For this, I identify family background. Family background, I can identify whether it is a business oriented or non-business oriented, agriculture, or otherwise I can go through education. So these things also I have to first decide. Otherwise, I will be listing on thousands of variables. And I have to select what are the FMCG mean. There is a lakhs and lakhs of products, brands are there. I have to design what are the types I have to consider. So according to the review of literature or from the industry study, I classified everything into personal care, household care, branded food beverage, health care. And among this, these are the products only I am going to design. So in terms of writing a limitation or scope for the research, I will clearly mention I am conformed to this retailer in rural and urban focusing on only these 4 different types of product category. If you written like this, no people will ask question because you already mentioned this way only you categorize. And in terms of understanding, I will study about consumer, I will study about retailer, that is a distributor, I will study about the company, I will study about the profitability of the retailer. So these are the 4 major other items. I use the word called items, right? Headings. So for the consumer, I used consumer response and impact on consumer, channel impact, marketing effort, trade reaction, product quality, salesman personality, company related brand and market power, profitability, policy perception, value perception. So please, these are the keywords I identified from the review of literature. So these are the items. The same way, when I decided the schemes, I identified these schemes: quantity based, trade allowance, trade reward contest, trade supporting. These are the subheadings. So what are the options? These are the options. So these are the main headings. Got it? So before framing a questionnaire, I gone through the review of literature, I gone through the pilot study, I identified what are the words I should focus. Now, if you come back to the objective, what are the words and what are the questions I am going to ask that will justify these objectives? It should be very clear. Okay. Yes. So based on that, I am framing a hypothesis. You can see these items, product, whatever I said, I've just listed in one paragraph. Sorry, one table. Okay. So here I have a clear picture. When you are writing an article or when you are presenting a thesis, this one slide is more than enough to explain about all the variables you consider. Okay, dependent variable, independent variable. These are major items considered, etc. Yes, and you have to define in the entire questionnaire these only the 4 scales. These are the 4 items: retail demography, product related, scheme related, retail purchase. So these are the 4 major construct I am going to use. And what are the variables type I am using? Dichotomous. Dichotomous means yes or no, or male or female. Categorical means it can have more options, but it cannot be ranked. Scaled means it is having this equal intervals. So 5-point scale, 3-point scale. So here I am given clearly in making a questionnaire, I have 8 questions related to retail and demography, 4 questions related to product, 6 questions related to scheme, and 74 questions related to retailer perception. I asked these based on 2 dichotomous questions, 16 categorical variable, 74 scaled variable. So this dichotomous or categorical has to be compared with the scaled variable later. So you should know these 2 types also required and the scaled variables also required when you go for higher analysis. So now I'm just making a model. Okay, consumer response. This is for objective 1. Okay, consumer response related. Here I can put retail characteristics, store cat. So I explained earlier, right? Mediating variable, moderating variable, etc. Right? So retail characteristics, product, scheme, how it is impacted, store, how it is impacted. And this product category, how it is impacted and combined effect, rural retailer, urban retailer. And with respect to product, non-business background. So these are the location or store characteristics, or these are the retailer characteristics. I am analyzing all these things with respect to 3 mediations for the 2 main topics. So based on that, I framed the 5 hypotheses. Okay, that hypothesis I am not going to explain now. So clearly I know this is a consumer response, how it is influenced on consumers. The same way, other models, you can say such other models. So this is the dependent variable. These are the independent variable. There are other ways. Okay, social, demographic, shopping. These are the other models. So when you see the model, don't get stuck. So it is a very simplified thing, and you can refer many models. Either you can justify or reject any one of the variable. That is your analysis. Okay. Sometimes you can create your own model, but you should do an exploratory research. But if you're going for thesis writing, always try to adopt models. Always try to adopt models. If you are going for research, article writing, try to create a new model. Okay. So these are the other sample models. How variable used and choosing tools are related. So now we decided with the question, we decided with the variables. So we have to decide which test we have to use. Again, I told that don't decide your test and don't work back the variables. You always work with the objectives. For the objective, what are the hypothesis? For the hypothesis, what are the variables required? For the variable, what are the items construct required? For the construct, what are the items? Items means the questions required. Based on that, decide with your tools. But in terms of thesis writing, please check what is the recent requirement from the university. If you're going for ANOVA, if you're going for MONOVA, if you're going for paired sample test, if you're going for PLS software, if you're going to use a SEM model, some variables are required in the questionnaire. So please think about your research objective, then design the questionnaire. So here I'm just explaining. If you want to do a chi-square mean, both the things to be categorical variable. Categorical variable means you are just categorizing. Okay, so what are the factors? I will list 1, 2, 3, 4, 4. Okay, what are the locations? It's all a categorical variable. So if it is able to measure metric variable, what we can say it is a measurement variable. So 5-point scale, 3-point scale. So mostly we'll have categorical variable and metric variable. So mostly metric variable will become the dependent variable. Based on the category, it may come. Sometimes the category versus category. How the gender have the significant difference with their preference of various factors. So gender is also a category, preference factor is also a category. Then I can use chi-square. So one is metric, one is category, ANOVA. One is metric, another one is category, but only 2 options are available. Dichotomous question, I will go for independent sample test instead of ANOVA. The same way, factor analysis how we have to go, MONOVA how we have to go, paired sample test how we have to go, based on what type of question you ask. That's why I'm saying before analysis, fix up what are the tools you may expected, the questions. Sometimes we can convert also. Sometimes we can convert a categorical variable into continuous variable. That is also available, but it's mostly not suggested. Okay, so these things you should know how to select the test. The same thing, correlation, metric and metric only we can do calculation. So both should be in the scaled variable. Both should be, one should be dependent metric, one should be independent metric. Then we can go for regression. Category 1 dependent, metric, many independent, mean discriminant, and validity, item, construct, conversion, everything is having, you can go for confirmatory analysis. If you want to know the many relationships, so these all things, okay, cluster analysis or a chi-square, ANOVA, can test only 2 or 3 or maximum 5 relationship. If you want to analyze many association or relationship means, yes, obviously you have to go for a higher end model like SEM model. And if you want to find the combination of attributes, so when we mix everything, what is the result? You have to go for conjoint analysis. So every analysis is not for you, it's for your objectives. Okay. Okay, so with this, I am just finishing up the review of literature and the base thing. And possible, I will show SPSS coding. Sorry. So are you able to see the questionnaire? Dear participant, kindly confirm whether the question is available.
Sir. Yes, sir, we can see.
Thank you. Thank you. It's a sample questionnaire. So here you can see I mentioned this name. In most of the research, it is not required. Okay, whichever is not required, don't need to add. Gender, it's a dichotomous question, only male and female. Age, marital status, it is dichotomous question. Okay, so up to this, I can call. So according to me, I can call all this as a categorical variable. I can categorize whether you are a male or female. I can categorize which age belongs to. I categorized it. It is not a continuous variable. If I ask you to write an open in 21, 23, it is a continuous variable. But continuous variable, sometimes it is very difficult to do some research. So we are making this. But for some test, regression and all, we need open in that question. Marital status, yes, it is also categorical. So up to this, what department, which department do you work for? This is also categorical variable. But come here, we can call it as a scaled variable. So you can call it as the interval scale. Because, for example, strongly agree. So we are making a common statement. With respect to the employee compensation, the company provides a good level of compensation, whether you agree highly or disagree. So I will give the rank strongly agree 5, and agree 4, and neutral 3, and disagree 2, and least 1. So I have a ranking, but between this and this, there is an equal interval. So like this, there is no need to confuse with the different scale. We can have these all things called as categorical variable. These things we called as a metric scale variable. So for the thesis or for research article, ensure that there should be some categorical variable, and mostly you should have metric variable, measuring variable. So mostly these variable become independent variable, mostly. But here also we can classify into independent, dependent, but mostly these variable will become the independent variable. And if you are measuring this means, it will become a dependent variable. But in terms of higher analysis, this itself will become a dependent and independent. Okay, so here so employee compensation is a keyword. This I called as a construct. I want to know about employee compensation. So for this, I have 11 items. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 11 questions are required to understand employee compensation. Here I have a 5-point rating scale. Next one, organization culture. I have 11 questions. Employee job satisfaction, I have 10 questions. It's a small research. Likewise, you have to identify what are the basic questions you have to ask, what are the scaled questions you have to ask. Okay, so now I will go to the SPSS. So hope the SPSS window is visible to you. So this will be the blank one. So if you want, you can save it as, okay. So there are two views are there, variable view and data view. Okay. So for example, the first variable I'm calling as a gender. The variable I'm writing as a gender. So whatever I'm writing here, this is the like a questionnaire formation, but where you are going to code it, data view. So variable view, so you can go to the question. Okay, so you have to keep your question. First one is gender. So here it will come as default. Okay, so here you can make it as ordinal variable or nominal variable or scaled variable. Okay, so here we can keep it as a nominal variable because we are just a nominal, we are going to count. Okay, so this name is for my identification in SPSS. But how the result will come, that is called as label, gender of the respondent. So you should be very careful in typing these things, otherwise you have to rework. For example, whatever is coming here, this will reflect in your tables. But this I can even keep as a G. There's no problem in it. Okay. So this name, first one name is should be short. You should not have any space. You should not have any numerical thing. It should be very short. Okay. Mostly it should be like this. Okay. So gender, ignore these things. How it should reflect gender of the respondent. What should be the options? So according to us, there is a two option. One is male, one is female. I want to code one as female. Add. I want to code 2 as female. Correct? If you click OK, it will be there. Now we will check the data view, the gender. So here you can take 1 or 2. Okay. Yes. So first thing, you are creating the structure. Next step, age. So here you have to write as age of the respondents. So here I am classifying one value. 1 means 20 to 30. 2 means 31 to 40. 3 means 41 to 50. 4 means above. 40. Okay. So these are the basic things. For example, so likewise you have to enter. There is option means you have to enter. For example, factor means you have to list on the factor. Now I will go to the satisfaction level. For example, there are different satisfaction level you will have. Satisfaction on incentive. That means I will code like this only. SOI for my understanding, because I can't write big. In analysis I can't see. So here you can write fully. Satisfaction level on incentives. Okay, with respect to employee satisfaction. Here, what is the tool I have to use? What may be the scaling? 1 can be highly satisfied. It depends upon us. Okay, we can code anyway. At 2 satisfied. 3 neutral. 4 dissatisfied. 5 highly dissatisfied. Okay, so next one you are writing as satisfaction on salary, satisfaction on leave, satisfaction on welfare policy. So here you are writing, right? So here you have to anyway have to write, but here these scales can be copied, because every time there is no need to write. So you can copy and paste. Control C, Control V, or you can copy paste. But this one you have to type. This one you have to type. So here also you can make whatever it is. So all other things I'm just making a scale. It is actually an ordinal scale. I can make it as a scale. See, now my SPSS is ready for coding the data. Gender, age, my satisfaction on income, satisfaction on salary, satisfaction on leave policy, satisfaction on welfare. Likewise, you can write how many, if there is 100 question mean 100 variable will come, and this will explain, this will differ according to your options. Okay, so for example, if you took the first question, in the first question they ticked female, means code is 1. So this is the first response. This is first response. Age, it is between 30 to 40, means I'm just coding as 2. Here highly satisfied means 1. Next one satisfied 2. Here neutral 3. Here 4. Likewise, I have to code everything. So similarly, if there is a 500 data, means you have to code 1 by 1. Okay, so after coding, so for example, just I'm copy pasting for my comfort. It's not right actually, but for so like this it will come. Okay, so if you have a 500 data, mean all these things should be filled. So finally, if you want to check this, mean put descriptive statistics. Want to check. So whether the output is visible. Yes. So this will come like this. So here you can find out gender. So total, all if it is 27 means yes, 27 responses came. So you can find out which is minimum, which is maximum. So if there's any error, means it also will tell. So just to confirm that you entered the data properly. This is one method. Or otherwise, you can search from the Excel also. If you have an Excel sheet, means you have to create an Excel sheet in the same manner. Okay. Your Excel sheet means you just to put first column as gender, said age, and copy as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can copy paste here. It is available. So if you feel difficult in entering data in SPSS, make the same thing in Excel. In the Excel, we have more convenience, right? Making, counting, everything. Many clarification we can do. But this variable view, we should first thing is creating a variable view. Then you can copy paste. Another thing is, if you have a Excel data properly, means there is no need of copy pasting. If you open the data itself, we can use Excel. So now I'm not going to say it's a time. It's already 7 o'clock, but there's an option you can use. So just I will share how the other data are there. So the researcher collected this data. This is collected from Google form. Okay, when you have the Google form, in the Google form also, if you made very clearly means the data will come like this. Okay, because you coded properly in Google Sheet. So now we have to clean it. We can copy paste easily. Okay, if it is from the Google Sheet. But I want to clean it. Okay, then I will post it in Excel. Means there is a different way. See, I cleaned the data. I'm not going to just copy paste. I made very clearly, right? This is that first one. This is the basic one. So if I'm having like this mean from the SPSS directly, I can open the sheet. There is no need of entering the data. So as a researcher, you have to decide whether you want to do the coding and entering the data in SPSS directly, or you can download from the Google Sheet. If you are very thorough, if you use the same title, same number, if you are just copy pasting, there will be no error means you can copy paste. If you are not confident, please convert into another sheet. Please make the changes according to the template you made in the SPSS. Then you can directly open the file. There is an option as open and you can search the source. You can select the particular Excel sheet. Automatically it will get uploaded. So these are the few basic things I explained in coding the data. So what I say in terms of research, in terms of writing a review of writing a research or a thesis, which is important. Two important things is, one is review of literature, which is going to justify in all the chapters, even till the viva or even till your submission of article. Number two is questionnaire. If the two things are not proper, even you have a n number of talents or a way of representing, it will not work out. And in terms of SPSS, which is important, it is not very important to know about the analysis. So even our professors in the next 4 days, they are going to explain about all the possible tests. Okay, within 4 days you can learn. But what is important? How you are coding the questionnaire, how you are entering the data properly. If the coding is wrong, if the data entered wrongly means, even you know any statistical analysis means it will not work out. Okay, so thank you all the participants for your patience listening. So within the limited period of time, I try to share as I can. So thank you all for the patience. And if there is any questions, you can ask. Over to Geeta, ma'am.